Hello and welcome back to CDMP TV, and today we're going to be talking about the 2021 sci-fi film Dune. Me and Victoria are going to be talking about our different opinions on it. But first, I think we need to mention Sol. Unfortunately, he can't be with us today. I know you're watching, so get better soon and break a leg. So yeah, Dune came out last year. It was probably one of the most talked about films of the year in the sci-fi genre anyway. It had a lot of mixed reviews, a lot of people loved it and a lot of people hated it. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I personally loved it, and Victoria personally wasn't a fan. So I'm going to get into my reasons why I liked it, really, basically. So the main reason that I've read the book, which is here first, and the main reason I liked it was because I think it was really the book to film translation was actually really good. I feel like they nailed all the characters. Paul and Jessica especially, I feel like them two characters really came across well on the screen, and the Baron as the villain came across really well on the screen, which I was impressed with. I liked how they portrayed all the characters, and yeah, I thought the performances were great. Timothée Chalamet as Paul was great, and I loved a lot of the film. Obviously the cinematography, it goes without saying how good that was. It was beautiful, the whole film was amazing. The score, I think Hans Zimmer done the score, I might be wrong about that, but I'm sure Hans Zimmer did the score, and that was amazing as well. There's so much I liked about the film, and while I will admit it had a few flaws, like the abrupt ending. It's a part one of 2 or 3 films. The abrupt ending, you did feel it, but hopefully by the time part 2 comes out, you won't feel that as much, which is what I'm hoping. But that is probably the main flaw of the film. A lot of people didn't like the pace of the film, but I actually quite liked the pacing of the film. It was slower than your typical Marvel or Star Wars blockbuster film, but I feel like it's not like a Star Wars or a Marvel film. It should have that slower pace. I quite enjoyed that. And overall, I thought it was a great film. I know Victoria's going to disagree with pretty much every point that I've said here, but yeah, also another point that could have been a flaw in the film was Zendaya not being in it enough, and they used her a lot in the marketing because she's such a big global superstar now. But I feel like in part 2 especially, she will be a much more prominent character in the film without a doubt, because she's definitely in the book more when it gets to part 2. But the other things I liked about it, the attack on Atreides scene, I thought that from the book to the film, it was even better in the film. The visuals in that scene were amazing, everything blowing up, the Harkonnens coming down and just destroying Dune. It was brutal, but it was really good. And I thought the Baron throughout the film was such an intimidating force. And we've seen him with that scene with Duke Leto, where Duke Leto killed, he dies, but we think the Baron's dead as well, but we see him just in the ceiling, and that was terrifying. I thought it was off a horror film. It was really good. I also think that what they got really good from the book was that I forgot what it's called, but the shields they wear on the battlefields. I thought that was portrayed really well, because it's hard to portray that in a film without it coming across as stupid, and I thought it looked really good. And also the voice, that was another thing. Bene Gesserit used the voice. I thought that came across really well in the film. And overall, the film got more stuff from the book spot on. And I think a lot of the complaints were people that hadn't read the book and just thought it was going to be the new Star Wars. And really, it's like space politics. It's a completely different story to Star Wars. It's nothing like that kind of thing. And everyone's so used to the Marvel films we're getting now, the Star Wars films, that Dune was just a completely different experience. And a lot of people said not enough happened, and I can kind of see that criticism, but I'm guaranteeing there's a lot more happens in part 2, and there will be a lot more happens in part 2, and I can't wait for part 2 in 2 years. I think it comes out in 2023, so I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, overall, I loved it. I know a lot of people had different opinions, and I'm going to pass over to Victoria in a second, who has got a very different opinion on it, and she'll express her opinions. And I can see the criticisms in the film, but overall I liked it. So yeah, I think we'll pass over to Victoria now and get her views on the film.
So, as Adam said, I'm Victoria and I absolutely hate and despise Dune with my whole heart. Really, in my opinion, it was just a cheap way, well, maybe a very expensive way to get attention, build attention for a sequel, which 2023, Adam, did you say? That's 2 years. That is way too long to wait for a sequel for such an anticlimactic movie. Like, to give them credit, it was very cinematic, the cinematography was beautiful, but I don't think it really captured how beautiful the desert can be and just the unique charm of that environment. I think they didn't give it enough credit. I think it could have been better, but as Adam said, the score by Hans Zimmer, that was amazing. Although I must say, I went to see it in the cinema and it was way too loud. Everything was just so off, including the pacing of the movie. Now, the movie itself is 2.5 hours long, and for 2 of those hours, it's just Timothée Chalamet wandering around through the desert. Like, there's got to be more entertaining stuff from the book they can include in the movie. As well as that, Zendaya, who was, as Adam said, included in a lot of the marketing, was only in the movie for about 7 minutes, which I think was very underwhelming, especially with all the expectations that were built up by having her in all the marketing and being one of the main selling points of the movie itself. One thing that I think was done okay, but not really, was, like Adam said, the main criticisms are coming from people who haven't read the book, but I can tell you, I tried to read the book, but it's just so badly written, so I guess I can't really blame the filmmakers if the source material isn't that great in the first place. But the book itself has incredible pacing problems. The author uses way too many ellipses for my liking, and it just feels like it was written by a nervous child doing a creative writing exam, which, like, in that case, I can't really blame the filmmakers for not having great source material, but I feel like the essence of making a movie adaptation is taking what you already have with a book and adapting it to a screen to make it suitable for a movie. So I think that the pacing issues could have been avoided if they approached it in a different way, a more clever way perhaps. Right guys, that's all we've got time for. See you next week, hopefully this time with Sol. No, I'm gonna cry. No, Adam.